The Chief Justice has made his ruling. Now let him enforce it. The Trump administration looks to be gearing up to defy the courts and throw the United States into a constitutional crisis. Is anyone going to fight back? Welcome to the No Spin Zone. Graph's Grievances starts right now. Since his inauguration, President Donald Trump has made bold claims about executive power, and now his sweeping actions are facing off in the courtroom. Dozens of lawsuits have been filed challenging many of his executive orders that critics argue violate the law and the Constitution. As of this past weekend, 9 federal judges have temporarily blocked several of Trump's initiatives, including his push to end birthright citizenship, his proposal to slash the federal workforce, his freeze on up to $3 trillion in domestic spending, and his attempt to expose FBI personnel involved in investigating the attack on the Capitol. And just last Friday, February 7th, a federal judge sided with New York and 18 other states, temporarily halting Elon Musk and his allies from accessing sensitive Treasury records. But this ruling, more than any other, sparked immediate backlash from the right. Musk, tasked by Trump with gutting federal spending, called the judge corrupt and demanded impeachment. The world's richest man also reposting calls for defiance, urging his followers to simply ignore the court's order and proceed with his controversial plan to access personal data from the Treasury. This call for defiance is alarming enough when it comes from Trump's shadow vice president. But Trump's actual vice president, J.D. Vance, is now joining in. On Sunday, Vance, a Yale-educated lawyer, posting on social media, quote, "Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power." At first glance, Vance's statement might seem mild, but it directly challenges the very foundation of our legal system. Under the Constitution, it is the role of the courts to ensure the executive doesn't exceed its lawful authority. The courts are specifically designed to check presidential overreach, ensuring that no one branch has too much power. So what does Vance's comment really mean? It's a calculated message. The Trump administration may be preparing to defy the judiciary. And while so far Trump has not openly flouted any lower court rulings, what happens if the Supreme Court rules against him? If Trump ignores a ruling from the highest court, the nation would be plunged into a constitutional crisis, undermining the very fabric of our democracy. The president is obligated to follow court decisions. If he refuses, we're looking at a breakdown of our system of government. As for whether the Supreme Court will block any of Trump's executive orders remains to be seen. Despite multiple Trump orders being clear violations of the Constitution and congressional law, the Supreme Court's 6-member conservative majority has consistently backed Trump. Remember, just this past July, the court ruled 6-3 in favor of Trump's claim to immunity against prosecution related to his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. That landmark decision effectively expanding the powers of the presidency and emboldening Trump even further. However, unlike the start of his first term, there's little resistance to the beginning of Donald Trump's second administration. There's no mass protest in the streets, no fierce pushback in Congress, and no uproar within the Republican Party. Now it's the courts that are on the front lines in attempting to restrain Donald Trump. And that's deeply troubling because, as President Andrew Jackson said in 1832, the Chief Justice has made his decision. Now let him enforce it. Jackson's point, very simple. Tradition forces the president to follow judicial rulings, nothing else. If Trump chooses not to follow the court, we could face a constitutional crisis of unprecedented proportions. But what's even more troubling is that as of now, those who oppose this dangerous overreach do not seem ready to fight back. The courts are stepping up, but will the rest of the country? Will the political leaders and institutions that are supposed to protect the Constitution rise to the occasion? Or will they stand by, silent and passive, as this administration tests the very limits of its power? Thank you for watching Graf's Grievances. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share, and join me tomorrow for more.